Let's get more now on this. Our Aldrin Sampear is at the ConCourt for this farewell, or as it's been called, Aldrin, a special ceremonial sitting to honour someone who's achieved great heights in her career, not to mention being the first woman in South Africa to hold this prestigious position of Deputy Chief Justice. Good afternoon.
Well, certainly. In actual fact, she held the position of acting Deputy Chief Justice, the first female, and also the first female to hold the position of acting Chief Justice over a certain period. I think it was a month. And here we had Deputy Chief Justice Zondo really praising her for the role that she has played. And she as well, Bess Nkabinde, speaking about her time here at the court and speaking about the role that this courtroom has played in changing the lives of South Africans, but it's quite specifically interpreting the law. And we just heard now from Thandi Modise, the Speaker of, rather the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, also hailing her. And you remember that Bess Nkabinde and Thandi Modise are actually from the same province in the northwest. So great flatteries from the both of them, but also quite important issues that were raised coming from both of them. First of all, from Thandi Modise, who spoke about having someone like Bess Nkabinde, of course, a black female sitting on the bench, the highest court in the land, and what message it sends to fellow black South Africans as well as females, and the issue around gender equity, which is something that Thandi Modise emphasized on, and saying that she hopes that Bess Nkabinde's role does not end here at this court, but she will continue to play a role when it comes to issues of gender activism. Bess Nkabinde was also one of the only female justices to sit on a committee that was looking into sexism that was taking place, or allegations of sexism within the legal fraternity, within the judiciary. And those are some of the remarks that we've been hearing from these people, and some people coming here standing on the podium and giving their attributes and the tributes to Justice Bess Nkabinde, who now will hang up her robe. But of course, as I've said earlier on, Thandi Modise saying that she hopes that it doesn't end here for Bess Nkabinde. One of the issues that Thandi Modise also raised is quite an important case and a controversial case as well. It is the Masiya matter, in which this court was asked to interpret the common law as well as the criminal law when it comes to the definition of rape. In that matter, a 44-year-old man was accused of raping a 9-year-old girl. The court at the time, with the law that was standing at the time, interpreted that Mr. Masiya had raped this girl, even though it was anal penetration. And remember that at the time, with the law as it stood at the time, the definition of rape was it must be a vaginal penetration that must have taken place for it to be considered rape. But the court interpreted that to be that even when there is anal penetration, that must be considered to be rape. And there was this issue around whether it must be only confined, gender specific. Must it only be confined to females, or must it also include males? And this court found that they can't include males at that point, and this was the judgment that was handed down by Bess Nkabinde, who said that it would be up to the legislature, the legislative power, the third arm of the state, to step in and amend the legislation, and which would then include male penetration to also be, or non-consensual male penetration to also include, to also be defined as rape. So quite an important case that has been, and Thandi Modise speaking about that court case and how the members of parliament interpreted the court case, as well as the dissenting judgment that was written by then Chief Justice Pius Langa, on arguing that the judgment should have also included male non-consensual penetration, also to mean that that is rape. So quite an important day indeed for Bess Nkabinde. But I was saying earlier on, the elephant in the room has been the matter around Judge President John Hlophe. If you remember that a couple of years ago, back in 2006, 2007, if I'm not mistaken, just before President Jacob Zuma was appointed or was elected president of the country, there was a case relating to President Jacob Zuma around the corruption case, in where there was a matter that came to this court and where Judge John Hlophe was accused of approaching the two justices, Bess Nkabinde as well as Chris Chafta, and influencing them, trying to influence them improperly. And that matter was, of course, not raised here. And there's no finality to that Judge John Hlophe matter. But hopefully when I speak to her a bit later on, she will delve into that matter and just hear what she has to say about that case that still hangs. It's back to you in studio.
All right, Aldrin, thanks so much for that. Aldrin Sampear live from the Constitutional Court.